are on Bloody Saturday in Winnipeg. We will talk to some citizens involved in the strike. Breaking news. The mailboxes are empty. The postal workers have joined the strike. The citizens are horrified.
Lucy Smith is a 17-year-old girl working as a waitress at the Winnipeg diner. Her father died in the war, and her mother cannot support her and her younger siblings on the meager pension she has right now. Her employer is expecting her to work 6 days a week on long shifts without a break, with the meals she eats on the run deducted from her wages. Her wages are not even enough to cover her monthly rent. Lately, her boss has been grabbing her a lot and suggesting things like the fact that he could make her life easier. He has been harassing Lucy and her coworkers for the past few months on a constant basis. They are talking about joining a union or doing anything else to improve conditions and express solidarity with other workers throughout the city. We'll talk to her about it right now.
What's life like at home?
Ever since my father died in World War I, my mother hasn't been the same. She was working in a clothing factory for a bit, which helped us get by while my father was off fighting. The plan was, when he returned, for him to work in the factories as well, so we'd be able to provide food and comfort on a regular basis. When my father did not return home, my mother lost all motivation to work and take care of us children. Being of the age that I am, I had to go out and look for work to be able to support myself and the rest of my family. We live in a run-down, small little apartment in the middle of the city, and it's not very clean or safe, but it's the best we can afford. Oh my God.
Do you enjoy working as a waitress?
This job allows me to provide for myself, even though I have to deal with the long hours and the inappropriate behavior. This job is obviously not my first choice, but I don't really have a lot of options considering my age and education. Oh God. I do my best at this job no matter what I have to deal with. I do enjoy talking with the customers and having friendly conversations, and it's good life skills to have.
Being a 17-year-old girl, I'm sure there's something else you'd rather be doing with your life. What do you miss about the old days?
Yes, there are many things I miss about being a teenager. I miss hanging out with my friends at a little cafe or going out to the stores and looking at all the pretty outfits in the window. I miss talking with my friends about the future and our goals and dreams, which obviously those are different now. Most of all, I miss times me and my family spent together when everything seemed so perfect and happy.
How do you handle all the inappropriate behavior at your workplace? Are you the only one this is happening to?
I normally just ignore all the comments and looks that my boss gives me, and also a few of the male customers, but whenever my boss starts to grab me and get too close to me, I push him away and fight him off as best I can. I'll raise my voice at him and cause a scene in the restaurant, and then he'll stop, or else the other waitresses will come and be around just to support me. I've heard of this happening to other girls at the restaurant, but I've never actually seen it myself.
This union that you and your coworkers are talking about, what do you want to change?
We want to fight for cleaner restaurants and working conditions because a lot of our waitresses are getting sick from working in the back and cleaning at the end of the day. We also are demanding more reasonable work schedule and pay. Working 6 days a week with no breaks and having little pay to go along with that is not fair and does not help us in any way. We also want to be able to stand up for ourselves to our bosses and actually have a say in how our restaurant works.
We won't stand for this.
Donald Hartnett is a 26-year-old man who recently returned from the war. He thought he would be returning to take over his family's farm, but while he was away, his dad was sick and the crops failed, so his family had to sell the farm. He has a minor leg injury from the war and has a small limp because of it. He receives a pension for his injury, but is definitely not enough to support himself. He works as a police officer in Winnipeg, and he's been hiding his limp from them so that he can keep his job. He supports his parents and his younger sister, who have moved off of the farm and into Winnipeg. He's one of the many policemen who have voted to join the strike. We will talk to him about his decision now. How has your injury affected your life?
My injury has really changed my life. Every day I have to hide it and pretend that I'm okay to avoid losing my job. I can tell that this will only get worse as time goes on. I'm ashamed of my limp. People give me looks every day. They have a look of pity on their face, and I don't like to be seen that way. When I went to war, I was strong, and now I feel so weak.
What are you looking to get out of the strike?
I want fair compensation for what I did for our country. I expected to come back to a good job, and I came back to nothing, not even a pat on the back. The government has done nothing to protect veterans like me, and that is why I'm striking. Not just for me, but for all of the underappreciated veterans.
What was the war like for you?
The war was terrible. I can't get the image of seeing all my friends dead on the ground out of my mind. The living conditions were unbearable. There were many sicknesses going around our base. Spending all day in the trenches really took a toll on me, and I came back a changed man. I can't walk. I can't work. I'm hiding my limp from the police force. I can't sleep at night, and now I can't even provide for my family.
I can't take it anymore!
Marie Black is a 30-year-old woman of Aboriginal Cree descent. She married a white man before he joined the war, where he was killed. She cannot go back to her home reserve because she lost her status when she married a white man, so she works as a switchboard operator at Manitoba Telephone. All of her coworkers are women, and tonight she is going to a meeting about the strike. She's one of the very few First Nations women working at the company, and she expects that one of her coworkers, Helen Armstrong, will speak at the meeting, as she has been talking a lot about the strike and the formation of a citywide union. She would like to support the men who work at the ironworks, and knows that many people got working improvements from the strikes last year, but she can't afford to miss any work. We'll talk to her now about her dilemma. Why have you chosen to strike? All jobs these days need improvement. My husband was killed in the war, and I know he had seen far too much there. But I feel almost worse for the men that made it home, as they have to live with the memories from the war, and deal with unfair jobs on top of it, and some without any jobs. I want to fight for men like my husband who did such great things and got nothing in return. It is extremely unfair that the government did not set up a better system for the returning men. We all need better hours and more pay, and we all need each other to be happy in our jobs and working in our jobs in order for our world to be able to live on. We have all come to the end of our rope, and it is time for this to stop. What are your issues with the telephone company? We are asked to work long hours for little pay. The job is difficult. I'm sitting down all day, and my legs and backs have begun to ache from my lack of movement. The offices are far from admirable, and seldomly get cleaned. We have little to no breaks. We are asked to eat our lunches at our desks, and we have a mere 10 minutes to do so. I want to be able to do what previous strikes have done before, and fight for my rights as a human being. I should be comfortable and happy in my workplace, not miserable at the thought of even going there. Do you think the strike will work? There are so many people fighting in this strike. It is not just one field of work, but many, many more. There are thousands of us asking for the same things in different fields. Can't the government see how upset we all are? I believe it will be impossible for them to ignore us once they see how many people are willing to leave the workplace and give up work to fight for our rights. They will listen. They have no other choice.
I can't get up! I can't get up!
The strike ends in tragedy. 30 injured and 1 dead. This young man trampled by an onslaught of